Folks, we're going to jump over to our man Basil Chapman right on the front page of TFNN. Apologies. You'll see the opening call there. You can sign up for a month for $149, folks. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Basil's had some great calls recently. We're going to hear about them right now and talk to our man Basil. Check out this market. Basil Chapman, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. We got all-time highs today in the market. Basil, Nvidia's on fire. Quite a market, to say the least. And we have a little volatility today as well. How about yourself?
So let me just go through something here. In the Dow, in the Chapman wave, we're always looking for at least 4 higher peaks where we start to look for some kind of a turn down. It can go to an E, an F, or a G. I also have something that I call a peak C1, C2, meaning that it just missed making the D, but some of the technicals that are important are suggesting that there could be a pullback. So in the Dow, look at this chart. This is the Dow, the daily. The high that was made right here on the 3rd, and the high that was made a little bit lower on the 10th suggested to me that the technicals were starting to slip a little bit. At the same time, as there was a chance we could make that pattern that I call the dreaded H. Simply put, the dreaded H is where you come sharply lower, you try to rally, you fail, and it arches over, and it takes out the left side low. Look how deep this move is so far, down 335, but that's the Dow.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that I wanted to just show you is that this is a chart that I show subscribers every once in a while, and I show here in my Tiger Technicians Hour. This is a very simple chart. Actually, it looks a little more complicated than usual because I wanted to show that I also had a time sequence to this low right here, meaning that I was looking for the number of bars on the left to the number of bars on the right to see whether or not we can break to an all-time high. If we didn't, I'd be looking at what I call internal highs and residual highs, or internal lows and residual lows. Basically, that is, it's like an earthquake where there's an aftershock. Sometimes the aftershock is nothing, sometimes it's about the same, sometimes it's even greater than the earthquake. So I call that internal high and residual high, which we've done, and we've taken out the left side low. That just says to me, that's a warning. But there are a couple of things. This is the Dow chart. I only do this, it's called the Chapman Wave Dark News Index, and I only use the Dow for this. So that just says on that one indicator, which is only 30 stocks, but they're very important stocks, we're starting to see some slippage. However, when you look at the weekly chart, there's this potential for a double top in the 45,000 area that turned into a triple top because we just missed 45,000 in the weekly chart PD. Then last week I was saying to you, look how powerful the S&P is, SPX, there we go, how the S&P. Let me just get this chart right here. There it is. Look how powerful this weekly chart is. It's only in a leg C at an all-time high. The QQQ, the index 100, is only in a leg B in the weekly chart. The SMHs, this is amazing. The SMHs only in a leg B, way above the previous high, 269, went to the long-term high, which is 283.97. We went to 293.20 today. So this says to me, if there is any turn down, and I'll go back to this chart here, it means that within the context of your dark news index, you've got everything in place, but you don't have the news that is permeating the market negatively. But there are certain factors, and that's the usual thing that I look at in this particular internal high and residual high. So what would they be? Well, one is tariffs. We don't know about tariffs, but we do know that the semis had a bit of a break last night, so they had all-time highs. But this is something that does concern me, and you spoke about a little earlier. This is the TBT, and that is the yields. Look, the TBT, for this first time, is having some really powerful moves to the upside. It hasn't broken out, but look, the MACD, the 9-period moving average went positive. The MACD turned positive. The stochastics at 76%, close to 8%. So that's one area. So there are a couple of areas that are saying to me, until you get everything in unison and you don't just get one sell-off, but you start to get a sustained move to the downside, you're only going to get that if there is this backdrop, a dark cloud that says, uh-oh, now the market is worried about this particular thing. At this point, it's something to be wary of. So we have started a short position, but here's the other thing that we're looking at. You mentioned, look, Microsoft. We actually own Microsoft from 338. We got a little left, and it's there at an all-time high. It hit 506.78. We actually also own GE from 198 area, and here it is, all-time high, 265.06. The Bitcoin. You mentioned Bitcoin just a moment ago. Look, Bitcoin, I always look at that peak D. That's where other things can happen. Well, we hit 123,615. We are still long. We have the iBit, which is the iShares, and it's pulled back quite sharply. If Bitcoin breaks 112,500 support, that's going to be a problem. Right now, it looks like it's just digesting. So as I go through all these different areas, I don't have a specific. Yeah, you can see that when I show you the charts. They're all doing slightly different things. And the IYM, the Russell 2000, is lagging some. So I've been very specific. We've taken little bits off, especially with the stocks that are reaching all-time highs. And mostly, we have other areas that we're looking at that have done quite nicely. So I'll see tomorrow about Bank of America, because I believe earnings come out tomorrow. There's your peak D at 49.31, just off the all-time high. So we'll see if that's going to pull back. It's down 72 cents right now. So I've become quite cautious for the very first time. I'm looking at this. I'm saying even stocks that were real laggards and had fabulous moves, like a Disney. I mean, Disney goes from the 80 level to 104.69 on the 30th of June at a peak D. W is one that I've been talking about for some time, coming back very strongly. This is Wayfair. I mean, the monthly still looks horrible. The weekly looks like it's improved, but here it is at peak D and a sharp move down. So I'm kind of cautious right here, but I don't have that kind of selling that says, aha, now you've got a major turn down. So there could be a rotational aspect to this, because you saw the semis are at all-time high. Semis right now just off the all-time high, 293.20, but it's at a D. So I'm watching these, and what's fascinating to me is that we have some stocks, very low-price stocks. For instance, last week I was about to talk to you about BBAI, which is Big Bear AI. This is a technology company specializing in national security, and we had got it in the $5.09 area, and it spiked up to $8.72. A really nice gain. We took about a 50-something% gain. It's pulled back, but look, it's kind of holding quite well here. So I'm saying this is very special, and unless we start to see some serious sell-off with the VIX, which is trading at 17, start to get to the 20s, we might just see this as a rotational correction. But I'm kind of cautious, and we have started a short position.
Those are some great trades, Basil. Going through Microsoft, man, amazing. BBAI. Basil, thanks so much. We look forward to the program tomorrow. Have a great night.
Thank you, Tommy. You too.